Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with another episode of SoundJack's Rambles. And today I am with an old favorite from the channel. He was here very much early on in the very beginning of the channel and has been a little absent in the past couple of months, but he's back for this episode. Say hello to Potter.
Hey.
He's not feeling well today, unfortunately. And also, unfortunately, this is getting out a day after this would normally be out. This normally goes up on Wednesday. Today's episode's going up on Thursday, and we're only recording it on Wednesday. So apologies for that. But today we are here to talk about the film we both saw over this weekend, Thor Ragnarok.
Yay.
You may need to speak up. I'm not even sure if that's picking up.
Okay. Yay. That's what I said.
Okay. This latest installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the third installment of the Thor series. And let's take a quick question. What has your thought been on the Thor movies, or just the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general, up to this point?
Well, as for the Thor movies, the first movie was a good introduction for Thor. The second movie is something that's like, if I had to give a movie in the Marvel Universe that you just don't need to see, it's Thor 2. There's a reason it has like a 60, 70 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not a great movie plot-wise. They bring in a new enemy for no reason and kill them off. The only reason that it really is there is to introduce the Reality Stone, one of the Infinity Stones. That's the only reason why it was there. Thor 3 is so much more useful in terms of storyline than that. In terms of MCU, so for your second question, we had Civil War before this movie, and it was missing the two big powerhouses of Thor and Hulk, which would probably most likely be on Cap's side, both of them, I imagine. So the writers had to get him off world, get him out of there, so it could be somewhat of an even fight, even with Vision on Tony's side. So I think that the writers as well did an amazing job at combining, and this now in Thor 3, combining Planet Hulk, the Planet Hulk storyline, and Thor Ragnarok, both from the comics. I felt like it came together very nicely. I do have that little narrowing of the eyes look, because they kind of did a Stephen Moffat of it's time and no one understands it, so we can do whatever we want with it. There are no plot holes that exist in Doctor Who. It's just like, it's whatever. There's a lot of problems with time, but that aside, I feel like this was a great place for this movie to be. It got 96 on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know if it deserves 96, but I think that it definitely is a great movie for someone who has just joined the universe, and it's also so much of a better movie for those who have watched to the universe up to this point. We'll talk more in depth, but especially with the end scene, how it really leads right into Infinity War. This was the two big powerhouses of the Avengers had their storylines caught up, and this is really what that was. Yes. And it's very important to see.
Yes, it is.
Not very important. It's rather important.
If they want them in Infinity War, it's important.
Yeah, it is important, because in terms of timeline, this, it wasn't Civil War where the last time we saw Thor and Hulk. We saw them last in 2014, 2015 is when Age of Ultron came out. One of the two, and so it's been a while since we've seen them. And Hulk, spoilers. Spoiler alert, this whole thing probably, there's tons of spoilers. Hulk, when he de-Hulks back into Bruce Banner, he says, what happened in Sokovia? What happened? Even though it was 2 years prior.
It was, in fact, 2015.
Yeah, 2015. And
but it is still stated in the film itself that it is 2 years prior to the current events.
yes.
So we have some form of a timeline with that.
Yeah, we have some sort of timeline, and it was interesting. You know, we talked way too much about Spider-Man: Homecoming, but in the Marvel has not been very straightforward with its timeline, and in big freaking font they put 8 years later that Spider-Man: Homecoming happened after the events of the Chitauri invasion in Avengers.
Yes.
So they're really trying to set a timeline here, even when there are 3 different locations in Thor Ragnarok, and they all have different time
Yes.
going through them. Actually, I mean, Earth and Asgard might not, but
Yeah,
this whatever that gladiator planet was called.
Yeah. I mean,
With the devil's anus.
yeah, with the devil's anus. It was called Sakaar.
Sakaar. And so the beginning of this film, I guess, I don't know if you had an idea of how we're going to talk through this.
No, but I do want to just quickly get into my point.
Yes, do that.
Thoughts about this compared to the other Thor films and MCU films.
Do that.
Honestly, though, I do want to say my point just to make it clear, but really it is very similar to what you have said. Thor 1 was a very good introduction. Thor The Dark World was terrible and only served a purpose for the Infinity Stone. And this movie was a very, very good movie. I will definitely say that. Very good movie, especially in terms of how it played with its characters, how it worked with the timeline and made things fit with the timeline. Though I will also say that I did hear of like the high praises of movie review sites before this, and then finishing watching the film, it's like, okay, it was good. I'm not sure if the 96 was deserved. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a very good film, and while the first Thor is very good, I do think I would rate this Thor movie higher than that one. But I think there's a couple other movies that deserve higher marks than this one. But again, it's probably like a couple of points if I were to put on a scale from 1 to 100 or something like that. It'd probably be a few points difference, but I still don't think it's the greatest MCU movie, and I think this is the one that is ranked the highest on Rotten Tomatoes.
It is, and we have to keep in mind of how Rotten Tomatoes does its system. It's not it's not every critic puts out a percentage and then that percentage is averaged. It's a 2-option system, yes or no, and those are the averages. Mm-hmm. So everyone who said yes could have said it was a C+ movie, mm-hmm. and 96% of people could have said it was a C+ movie, and it would have gotten a 96% rating. So to keep that in mind is, more realistically, everyone could have said, oh, this is an A- B+ film, and it got an A+ or A, depending on what teacher you had, a rating. It's just important to keep in mind.
I've honestly did not know that, so thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
Though I wonder if the LA Times was able to report on this film.
Oh my gosh.
Zing!
I was talking to talking earlier about this. Those of you who don't know, long story short, LA Times ran a story about Disney and taxes. And Disney's response was, you can't come to any of our preview any of our films for any of your reviews. And all of the newspapers in the country just said, okay, fine, we're not going to review anything that you do. We're not going to come to any of your stuff, and you're not going to be eligible for any of our awards. And Disney's like, oh, this was a mistake. And it's not like the whole country just stood up and linked arms and said, oh, we're going to be it. They just slapped him across the face with the newspaper, said, you can't, that's not what you do on the carpet, and sent it back to Disney, back to its crate. It was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic what Disney tried to do. And they did it to the Los Angeles Times. They didn't do the Baltimore Jewish Weekly. They did it to the frickin' LA Times, and thinking that they weren't going to get a response. And if it happened to the Baltimore Jewish Weekly, I really, really hope that the same response would have happened. Probably wouldn't have, but it's, it was a statement, and it was a terrible one to make. And Disney's just an idiot. It was bad time for me to buy stock in Disney, let me tell you. It was a really bad time.
Oof.
Yeah. Like hours before that was announced. Not good.
Good timing on your part. But anyway, out of the news and all of that jazz, getting back into the film, we're gonna very much focus on the plot before. So if you aren't expecting it, if you haven't watched any of my rambles before, beware, spoilers are very much ahead. So hopefully you have seen the movie, or hopefully you don't care about the spoilers. So let's get cracking in, and let's just talk about the start. Let's just go through very brief plot summary. Potter, can you take that away? Very brief plot summary.
The long story short, as my dad says, give me the 2 sentences. Thor and Hulk were both off-world after the events of Age of Ultron. Hulk, in order to run away from Earth so he couldn't hurt anyone, Thor left world to find answers on the Infinity Stones. Where their conflict meets is Thor, in trying to find answers for the Infinity Stone, goes back to Asgard to find his father missing. Because of his father being missing and later dying, an evil awakens that his father was keeping away. That evil banishes Thor to the same world that Hulk is at, which is the gladiatorial planet. Hulk and Thor are able to band together, as well as a disgraced Asgardian, in order to come back and save Asgard from this evil that awoke after their father died. And as well as evacuate Asgard.
Yeah. If you don't know what Ragnarok is the end times for Asgard in the Norse mythology. If I remember correctly, it's not necessarily like the planet is dead. It's more so the planet is to be reborn, or the people of Asgard are to be reborn with new memories and still be eternal.
Well, the whole idea was that Asgard was not a specific place. It was wherever the people.
Yeah, I know that's how it was presented in the movie, but I think like the actual mythological Ragnarok's a little different from how it was portrayed in the film.
Oh yeah, well, I imagine.
Yeah,
I imagine.
I believe it is what the original intent, or what other Marvel comics have used, is that as the Ragnarok is the kind of the phoenix dying in the ashes of a fire and then being reborn.
Yeah, speaking of fire, if I can go into this.
Yes.
The one part of the movie that annoyed me is that in the trailers, that giant fire guy, who I didn't even recognize. I had no idea that he was, until I read up in the trailer, like, what he is. The reason why he only appears in that little section in the trailer is because he's a plot device. He's really, really a plot device. Is his purpose. I was really expecting, like... Okay, so do you remember in the trailers when Thor was hanging from that chain in what seemed like hell?
Yes.
That never happened in the movie.
No, it did.
When did it happen?
Very beginning of the film.
Oh, I was late to the movie.
Oh.
So I didn't see that.
Okay.
But when does that happen in the movie? The chain thing?
It happens at literally the very beginning. The film opens up with Thor being like, "So, but you wonder how I got here, huh?" And he's talking to Skull. He's hanging in a cage. He's wrapped in chains. The chain drops. He drops down. He's hanging, and the giant flaming guy is talking to him, being like, "I have begun Ragnarok. You cannot stop Ragnarok." Thor breaks out of his chains, beats the crap out of him, takes his head, and brings it with him to Asgard.
Oh.
And that's how it's there for when they engage Ragnarok.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I thought they were just like, hey, there's a random flame guy. Let's bring him out.
Nope.
I didn't know. Okay.
Nope.
All right.
And
I didn't know.
And they also explain
I didn't know.
He needs to be
My date was late to the theater. I didn't know. I didn't know.
Okay, so yes, that also happened. Thor kicks the shit out of a lot of flame people and returns to Asgard, then to ask questions about the Infinity Stones.
I didn't know.
But, yeah, I mean, I will not disagree with you that he is still nevertheless a plot device. as like they do.
Makes sense. I don't have a criticism about him anymore.
Yeah. They do introduce him purely as, like, this is Ragnarok. This is the title of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, he's not called Ragnarok. He's properly called Surtur. I believe that's how you pronounce that. S-U-R-T-U-R. However you pronounce that. But he still ends up being a plot device, as he is the basic... He's not a Deus Ex Machina because he doesn't appear out of nowhere, but he's the MacGuffin. He's the MacGuffin of the film.
I don't know what that means.
The MacGuffin is like the plot device of the week that like has untold fathomable powers, even though it's just a random device.
Oh, okay.
It's a thing that happens in a lot of cartoons and TV shows and whatnot.
Okay.
So like example, the Matrix of Leadership in the Transformers is a MacGuffin. It just came and was like, here's this giant mystical artifact. What does it do? I don't know. It kills giant devil planets.
Oh, Unicron?
Yes.
Is that what you're, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know the Matrix of Leadership can kill Unicron.
Yes. Right, I forgot you hadn't seen that. Because you weren't at TFCon. Whoops.
Nope.
Anyway, back to Thor.
Separate spoilers.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Anyway, Thor. Ragnarok. But yeah, he, again, very, very much a plot device for Mr. Surtur and Ragnarok. Ragnarok does not have as much of a significance as I thought it was going to have in the trailers, or the or in the title of the film. Do you not agree?
Like in terms of the MCU?
No, well, in terms in the film itself.
Oh, the fact that Ragnarok didn't have that much of a.
Yes.
I mean, it was more of an overtime building up of Ragnarok. It wasn't like suddenly they're here and they were fighting for Ragnarok the whole time.
Yeah.
See, the thing is that if this was just Thor Ragnarok, I feel like it wouldn't have been as good of a movie. It's because they had the Planet Hulk storyline tied in.
Yeah.
And they did their best, their absolute best, not to make it feel forced. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they did a really good job at integrating the two plots together.
That much I very much agree with.
Yeah.
My main thing, I don't know, maybe it's I'm just being a little too literal with the Ragnarok, and that it has to be Surtur bringing about Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. But like it's right there at the beginning of the film. Boom, it's done with, it's gone, and then like, oh, Ragnarok's still coming. You can't stop Ragnarok, and then it's just put in the cage for a bit. And then when they need something to finish off Hela, it's like, oh yeah, let's just make Ragnarok happen. Well, that's how it felt to me. If it like made it more, again, this is not like a bad thing. Like it makes sense, but more so just because that's the title of the film. That's like it doesn't feel as significant.
Well,
as the title would indicate.
I feel like it is significant because the as his father, or as Thor's father said, or as Odin said, it's not the actual physical place, it's the people.
Yeah.
And it was the acceptance, Thor accepting the fact that Ragnarok was a natural thing that was supposed to happen after his father died. Mm-hmm. It was a natural thing.
Yeah.
That he then controlled it to be the benefit, or to be benefiting of his people.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, I'm not going to fight it. It's going to happen, but we're going to do it in a way that benefits us and that allows us to survive.
Yeah.
Well, until they run into Thanos' ship, but that's a completely different. So yep. I feel like it was still significant because Ragnarok as the end is seen as such a on the surface bad thing.
Yes.
And it was at the end of the movie you realize maybe it's not such a bad thing, because again, Hela was absorbing all of her power off Asgard. Had Asgard continued to be a thing, then she would have gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. But because Surtur, whatever his name is, destroyed Asgard, even if she was still alive, she's powerless.
Yeah. Very true. Wait, doesn't that also make Thor powerless because his power is based on Asgard?
I don't think his power is based on Asgard.
I thought they made a comment in the film that his power he also draws strength from Asgard itself.
I mean, maybe, but Well, I think it was a spoiler that he stated that his hammer was coming back.
Oh.
I think. Hold on.
I remember I saw it. There was, I can't remember how I saw it, but I remember there was a trailer for Infinity War that's been released with Thor running into the Guardians. That much I remember. Presumably after whatever.
Yeah, that was the trailer. Did I not show you that?
Oh, you did show me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't remember what else happened in it.
Yeah, Thor's hammer returns in Avengers 3 set photo.
Oh. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. How are they doing that?
And I'm pretty sure he's, well, yeah. It was interesting. Mjolnir, whatever it's called. Mjolnir.
Yes.
Mjolnir, whatever.
Mjolnir.
It's I didn't know this, but it's not like. I thought it was just this mystical artifact that was just for Thor, and it was like the Matrix of, you can't just get another one.
Yeah.
But you can get another one. You just need to get this metal and put it in the heart of a dying star and
forge it from there.
You have a Thor hammer. It was because it was enchanted that only Thor could use it that made it so special. Yes. Otherwise, it was just a freaking hard hammer. that was it. And it was also, I believe, enchanted to help Thor channel his power.
Yeah, it was to channels. Yeah, that is definitely something that was definitely brought up in this film, that the hammer was not where Thor's powers came from. It was how his powers were channeled. Yeah, which is definitely a big thing, and that's like why I am surprised that I'm hearing about that Thor's hammer will be coming back. Since, I mean, what's more powerful, the hammer or Mr. Lightning Bolt for a body?
Both together.
Fair point, because now he can launch himself like a. Oh no! I swore I was not supposed to swear.
We're gonna bleep that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Now he can launch himself like a rocket with his hammer, while being a giant lightning bolt as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually gonna get ridiculous. But speaking of Infinity War, there's a nice piece of a very minor piece of nice continuity I like to bring up quickly before we move on to other bigger, more important things about the film. And that's the fact of when Hela is going through the prize room, I guess, the trophy room, the weapon closet, I get, whatever.
Are you talking about Thanos' glove or the Infinity Gauntlet?
Yes, the Infinity Gauntlet, and how they were just fake.
So this was a little, fans made a stink about this, and I feel like this was kind of Marvel's way of throwing a middle finger in the face of the fans who made a stink about the fact that there was an Easter egg in Thor.
It was the original Thor,
in which there was an Infinity Gauntlet with all of the stones on it, and everyone made a stink about it. And so I loved it second most as a continuity fix. First most as a you, stop being such a little come on.
Well, that's a lot of words I gotta bleep right there.
You little, you can totally do this. This is no problem.
I'm just saying, it makes it easier when you don't swear and I don't get caught by YouTube's auto censors. Well, I mean, it's not like I'm going to get demonetized from the video because I'm not making money off of this yet anyway. Because I'm too small of a channel yet. You can help me out by giving my channel more views because I need 10,000 views before I can make money off of any of this. Personal plug for the channel. I'm not desperate. I'm not desperate or anything. But regardless, actually getting to more of the significant plot of the film, a big thing that you did forget to mention is, Loki is in this entire thing. Even though after Thor 2, we all thought he was dead. Well, Thor thought he was dead.
Thor thought he was dead. We didn't think he was dead.
That's right. That's right. We did not think he was dead. But I gotta say, I definitely like the brother the brotherly interaction in this film. Because there was so much that's happened to them and happened between them in the span of... In our time... When did the first Thor come out? 2010? No. It couldn't have been because Avengers was 09. 08. Wait, hold on. When did the movies come out? I apologize.
Well, Thor came out after, I believe, Captain America.
Yes, but it all still came out before Avengers. 2011 Thor. Oh, right, okay. Yes. I got my years confused because the whole Spider-Man thing. Because if Spider-Man was at Homecoming was actually taking place in 2006, then Avengers was happening in 2008, and blah, and blah.
You mean 2016?
What did I say?
2006.
2016, and was actually taking place in 2008, and Avengers actually came out in 2012, because that was after the merger between Disney and Marvel, which was 2009?
Sounds right.
Yeah. Regardless.
When Disney's like, we're going to get our hands on everything and anything nerdy.
Yep. And hey, they almost bought Fox recently.
Another reason why Disney's shares went down.
Yeah, 21st Century Fox. They almost bought that too. But plot. What am I talking about here? Buddy, do you remember what I was talking about before we got sidetracked? Loki, yes, the brotherly interaction, because from our perspective, so much has happened between them. In our time, 6 years. To them, I don't even know how long it's supposed to be. Probably 10. If Avengers is supposed to be 8 years before,
because
8 or 10.
It's about 9.5 because I'm not 100% sure because Civil War happens a little while after Age of Ultron, like 6 months to a year, I think.
Yeah.
And then there's Homecoming happens 6 months after that.
Yes.
So it's like a year and a half. Yeah. And then
it's
yeah.
Yeah. Just please give us a solid timeline on this, Marvel. We would appreciate it. But the main thing, again, on all of this is that so much has happened between them that they still interact like brothers and they still kind of have their spats and their spouts. And it's not a thing that's like entirely new because like even Thor mentions in this movie, Loki's tried to kill him even when they were kids. Doing the snake thing and all of that.
Yeah, I agree that there's a lot of back and forth that you'd expect out of like regular brothers. But something interesting is Thor like when he was talking to Loki when he had Loki was gonna turn him in, said, "You're the god of mischief. Like that's who you are, and I love you for it." Yeah. Like I'm just Yeah.
And it's also especially with like the interactions with like Thor like being wise to like all of Loki's plans and stuff at this point, and thinking like, oh yeah, you didn't actually come to visit me, you're just a hologram, and just starts throwing pieces of rubble and bottles at him, and even just to guarantee like, okay, you are here. And that was a very nice touching moment that happened at the very end towards the end of the movie where Thor's like, oh, Loki, you're alive. I'm going to throw a thing at you because you're not here. And I'm like, oh, wow. You are actually here. You actually cared for once. That is surprising of you. That is very much surprising of you, Loki.
Yeah. And I love how Loki, when he brings with the spaceship to evacuate, your savior has arrived. Like, I feel like by the end of it, he finally has like an okay, I'm gonna help them, no tricks, like sort of thing.
Yeah, he knows. He's getting wise. He's starting to do a good thing. I wonder how he's going to play into Infinity War, in all honesty.
Well, I think that... So, in the leak trailer, we have Thor flying through space and hitting the Guardians ship. And there was talk, an official talk, that that end scene of Thanos' ship suddenly appearing leads directly into an Infinity War, and that makes sense given the trailer. So Thor somehow is going through that, flying from that spaceship, and remember, Guardians picked up a distress beacon, I think, and came in and saw a bunch of destruction, which might have been the Asgardian ship. So the Asgardians might be extinct. Yep. And there's also a scene in which Loki is seemingly handing the Tesseract to Thanos. And the interesting thing is that looking at his Infinity Glove, when he's fighting a bunch of the Avengers, Thanos, he has the space gem, and which is inside the Tesseract. Yeah. And when he brings the meteors in, I think has the space gem. So it's already been confirmed that this movie, the reason why they split Infinity War instead of Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2, they did two separate movies, is because the first movie is going to be a heist-like movie starring Thanos. Basically, is the rumor / confirmed. Like, there's some parts of it that are still a little rumor, but it's him going around trying to get the different Infinity Stones. And then in theory, there's another movie that's from a very different point of view that's going to defeat Thanos and get the stones back. So where Loki lies in this is, I think he gives him his first stone. Yeah. And it'd be interesting if he spares the Asgardians because he's doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was definitely a thing going on in the film. Like, oh, this is how it fits all in this. This is not necessarily why it exists, because it was still made for a good movie, but in terms of the overarching story arc, I guess to say, for all of the cinematic movies, is the whole connection with the Infinity Gems and the Infinity Stones. The main point with this movie in terms of all of that is, like, the Tesseract's being hidden away on Asgard. Well, Asgard's gonna die. Someone's gotta go pick up that Infinity Stone for us to have it for, our big movie starring the Infinity Stones and the Infinity War. And there was and I don't think there was a single doubt in anyone's minds as soon as we saw Loki seeing the Tesseract that he was picking it up and taking it. But my thing with that is, I was wondering when I saw that mid-credit scene, I should say, that I thought the Thanos' ship was drawn to the ship with the Asgardians on it, because they sensed the Tesseract on it. But now I'm curious if, with what Potter you had said about Loki seemingly handing it over to Thanos, if it is really still Thanos coming to meet the ship, because he sensed the energy of the Tesseract. The Tesseract stone, the space stone, I guess, or if Loki actually was like, yeah, actually I didn't care about any of you. It's actually I was still working for this guy because he's going to guarantee I'm going to survive his rule and destruction of the universe. But Potter has left me. I was trying to stall to make sure.
What? I'm here.
Okay. Well, I was making sure. I was trying to wait until you get back. But did you hear what I was saying?
No.
Okay. Well, my main thing was, like, I saw the movie and I thought, oh, the Thanos' ship came because they sensed the Tesseract. But with what you're saying of Loki handing it over, it could still be that Thanos came and found the energy of the Infinity Stone. That's why he came to the ship. Or I'm curious now if Loki actually calls him and said, "Hey, I got your stone."
Well, he could have done that, but I don't think he did do that. I think that this is a case of I'm looking for the stone, here it is. But it's just interesting that maybe they were just waiting for Ragnarok to be finished or something, that he decided he wasn't going to come in and take it himself. Because it seems kind of coincidental timing of, after so many years and whatnot, this Tesseract is finally off Asgard, and then he suddenly decides to come take it. It just seems a little too perfect. And I know that some things in movie universes are like that, and Marvel especially. Like there are some things in which it's just like, that's a perfect coincidence. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of things in Civil War, but I don't know. I hope it's not that simple.
Yeah, it's true, because he was disguised as Odin for a time.
Yes.
For however long that was.
Yes.
But yeah, very good point. But we should get talking on to other points of the movie that are besides Thor and Loki. How about that Stephen Strange appearance, that Doctor Strange cameo?
I thought it might have been. I thought it was going to be a little bit more than that. So when I saw in the trailer that little preview thing, I thought that he wasn't going to be in the movie, and I thought that it was just a little preview of something or another.
Yeah. To
get people excited. But when I heard he was in the movie, I'm like, he might play like an actual pretty big part, and he didn't. It was a part in which it held importance as a plot device, though.
Yes.
I was like, hey, here's his father. I thought it was very funny. I thought that the whole scene and the whole everything was very funny. Was not forced. It flew together very well. And we also get to see that Doctor Strange, some people said that he's been around since Captain America 2 as the Sorcerer Supreme. Not true. The reason why he mentioned Stephen Strange is because he was just such an excellent doctor, which just pisses me off. It's just like, no, that just doesn't make sense. Like, you could have just said yes and slightly adjusted the timeline, and it would have made no difference. But no, you just decided to be a dick and say, oh no, the reason why the Hydra agent said Stephen Strange in Captain America 2 is because he's such a good doctor. No, it's because he's a fucking wizard. That's why. Good Lord, like, oh my gosh. I get it was just little Easter eggs, but you can't just drop these things and then not solve them. They did a solve for the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was good.
Yeah. I also very much appreciate how they connected the post-credit scene from Doctor Strange and put it in the movie and made that continuity connection.
Yes.
That was very nice, because that's something, like, post-credit scenes are a big thing in the Marvel movies. Everyone that's anyone stays beyond any movie at this point because you're expecting, are they going to pull a Marvel and have a post-credit scene of significance? Mm-hmm. But in this particular instance, this is, I think this is probably the first time a post-credit scene has actually appeared in another film, and actually functioned more so as a preview to it. Potter, you don't know this, but actually Ruby, which I've talked about on this channel before, you should also go check out that Rambles podcast, did a very similar thing between its 4th season and its 5th season, just to make it apparent to people, like, yes, these characters can meet at this point, and just to give us a little taste of that. So, and again, that was a nice touch that I very much liked, seeing that post-credit scene actually integrated into the actual main story of itself. Which is, again, I go on about it because it is a very nice touch.
Mm-hmm. It was also nice to see how Doctor Strange has progressed, because before he was someone who was very technical and very, studied and very advanced and can advance very quickly, years as a doctor, all that. but it's gone beyond his scrappiness.
Mm-hmm.
He's technical. He's precise, and although might be a bit reckless, he's the Stephen Strange that we kind of know from my limited interaction with the comics, but from the comics of a very collected, I know what I'm doing guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting how they're transitioning there. I think that in terms of post-credit scenes, I was a little surprised that we didn't have something more. I think it was a really cool cliffhanger of like, oh no, Thanos' ship.
Yeah.
But I was like, I thought there was going to be more than that in the silly Jeff Goldblum thing.
Yeah.
Then again, at the end of the trolling at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming. But
and also in compensation for the 5 post-credit scenes from Guardians Volume 2.
Oh yeah, but the thing about I think the reason why the credits weren't bigger is post-credit scenes weren't bigger is because Black Panther is coming out in February.
Yes.
And I feel, especially after watching that movie, that Black Panther has to have much more significance than people are currently giving it credit for.
Yes.
I get that it's in Wakanda. I get that it's away from New York. It's away from London. It's away from like where all of these things have happened. But I feel like it holds a lot of significance. We saw in the Infinity War trailer, the leaked one, that the Wakandans are somehow involved. I feel that we are missing a huge... There's a question that I'm not seeing on a lot of forums, I'm not seeing a lot of posts of where is the Soul Gem? Where is the Soul Stone?
I was going to ask because
I feel that because it wasn't in Thor 3, one of two things now have to happen. It's either A, in Black Panther, which I feel like would be very fitting,
mm-hmm.
or B, they don't introduce it in Black Panther. They don't introduce it in Infinity War, I imagine, and then the next Avengers film they introduce it, as this is the last stone that Thanos needs in order to hold the complete control over the universe.
Or a movie that's in the middle of those two. Because there's probably one. I know Ant-Man and Wasp.
Ant-Man and Wasp is not till 2019.
I thought it was going to be between the two Infinity War parts.
Well, that might be because it might then the second Infinity War. It's either late 2018.
Well, what they originally were the two Infinity War parts. I apologize.
No, you're fine. Well, the second movie, the Avengers 4, comes out in 2019.
Yes.
In May 2019.
Oh, okay. So here's the timeline of films. We got Black Panther February 2018. Avengers, May of the same year. Ant-Man and the Wasp in July of the same year. And then we got...
Really?
Yes.
Hey, wow.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
And then we got Captain Marvel coming in March of 2019 before the untitled Avengers 4 comes out.
I don't know why they're releasing it in July. I would think that there's like 8 months without a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
That's a long time.
I am curious about that placing. And the also important thing to note is... Oh, wait, that's just the producer. Never mind. But, I mean, Kevin Feige is producing all 4 of those. But I'm looking through this more specifically now, and, like, he had his hand in all of them. The only difference I'm seeing is that Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal were involved in Spider-Man Homecoming as producers.
I had no idea about
So I thought I had a smart comment to make with Kevin Feige being the producers of all of those, and I'm like, oh wait, never mind, he produced all of them.
I think as soon as it rolled off my tongue that why is Ant-Man and the Wasp not like in September to October, it's because it's Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Ant-Man was, when they released the standalone Ant-Man film that came out, he was also in Civil War.
Yes.
There were a lot of, okay, like, there's just like, Ant-Man, really? Like, you couldn't, like, do anyone else?
Yeah.
Like, really, you're not gonna give us a Scarlet, it's got a Black Widow movie, Scarlett Johansson. But you're gonna give us it was a great film, even though it completely doesn't revolve around
the main Marvel plot line.
Well, I was gonna say physics, but yeah, that too. They came up with Pym particles in order to Moffat it again with this whole.
I mean,
it's a science we don't understand, so there's no plot holes. Am I right?
I mean, they're just pulling from the comics, so.
I know they are. I was just sorry. I know that if they actually did it in any sort of realistic way, it wouldn't be to the comics, and that wouldn't be right. But I think that the reason why they have it so soon after Infinity War is because two things. One, because it's not gonna draw that many to the box office in theory. We don't know its plot yet. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Also, two, Infinity War is world changing in my mind. Mm-hmm. It's gonna change so many things.
Yes.
Thor 3, we've seen what's happened without its world destruction, without Infinity Stones, and yet Thanos is going to have probably a few different ones, and yet this is the only movie other than Captain Marvel, which is set in the past, that we're going to have between the two Avengers movies is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Mm-hmm. That's just sounds really interesting to me that they're going to be in. I don't know if it's going to be a post-apocalyptic world, but it's certainly going to be hella changed. And the fact that this purple guy has all of these godlike powers over Earth, I would imagine anyway.
Yeah. Quick check before we get back to talking about Thor Ragnarok main itself. What's the location check on all of the Infinity Stones? You know? Because we got
Space Stone was in the Tesseract, which was with Loki. The Reality Gem was also in Asgard from the last time we checked. It was taken to the Collector. It was in a post-credit scene that it was taken to the Collector, and then that introduced Guardians of the Galaxy. The Power Stone was with the Collector, and then because of Guardians of the Galaxy, it's now with the Nova Corps.
Yes. So the Nova Corps.
Soul Gem, we don't know. Mind Gems with Vision, and I always forget one. It was Mind. Hold on. No, don't tell me. No, you can tell me. Don't look at
No, I was going to say the red. I thought it was the red one, but that would be the one that's with the Collector.
The colors aren't the same as they are.
Yeah, that's probably also not helping.
The Mind, Power, Reality. Did I say Reality? Yeah, I did. Because Thor. Mind, Power, Reality, Time. Time is with Doctor Strange.
Right. Yes. Okay, so they are all accounted for, except for the Soul.
Yes.
Yeah, just wanted to make that quick, since this, again, that post-credit scene is very important playing into the Infinity War.
At least I think the Collector still has Reality Stone.
That's the last place we saw it.
Yeah.
So the question is if he still has it.
The only use for Thor 2, again.
Yeah.
I think that he would. Also, interesting that they didn't mention this other than the directors or creators or someone mentioned the Grandmaster, which is in Thor 3, and the Collector are related. I think they're brothers.
Yeah.
And which I find very interesting. I wonder if that will come to a head in Infinity War or in Avengers 4 of what I feel that they'll come together and kind of be like, I don't know. I can make a Ben 10 reference right now. Like they're the two omnipotent figures that overlook the destruction.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible, and that might be why that one post-credit scene is there, to be like, yeah, he's still alive. There's the entire revolution against him, but he's currently alive as the last you've seen of him.
Yeah.
So, but let's get into more of the whole thing going on Sakaar with... Oh, wait, actually, hold on. We haven't talked a whole lot about Hela yet. Let's go to Hela.
Okay.
And, surprise daughter of Odin, the first child of Odin that has been sealed away for a crap ton of time, and was how he gained control of the 9 realms in the first place, and his stuff that was hidden and we had no clue about. Neither did Thor. And, Loki does have a point with him. It's like, how's it feel like to have your world shattered?
Yeah, I mean, where Loki came from, remember, Thor wanted to just destroy. I feel like it's kind of like a convenient... Again, it's from the comics, it's from everything that they're just like, oh, JK, you had a daughter, like... Or so you had a sister, like, okay.
Admittedly, I did, like, have that a little bit at first as well.
Yeah. I mean, they lost how less they decided, hey, let's adopt a kid.
Yeah.
Maybe this one will be less screwed up. Oh, wait. It turns into the god of mischief.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
isn't he an elf or something?
He's a frost giant.
Loki is?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah, he was taken from... He was a child of the frost giants. But yeah, I do think she was played well. Hela was definitely played well. And they also cast a good actress for her. One that... Because, she was the first daughter of Odin, did have some age to her.
Yeah.
This is how pathetic Hollywood feels sometimes. That that's yay, you did a good thing, Hollywood.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else that you got to say on Hela or any of her stuff going on in the film?
It's kind of Loki kind of looking in the mirror. I think it's the idea that she's coming back for the throne. I don't know if she mentions herself, but I think she does that Ragnarok. She's causing Ragnarok. I don't remember if she did or not. I feel like she didn't specifically mention it herself. So,
but I think, in the moment that you missed with Sutur, he did mention that Ragnarok is still coming. She will be here. And who's she? Mm-hmm. I thought you were supposed to be Ragnarok, Mr. Flaming Guy.
Yeah,
and exactly. It turns out he still was Ragnarok. She was just the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, I guess. They were the ones... She was the one coming in first to start laying waste to things, and he came and was like, yep, time to screw everything up.
So I don't think Sutur was a bad guy. I think he was just a guy doing his job.
Yeah.
His job was to destroy Asgard. That was his job. And because, again, it's not necessarily a bad thing that Asgard is destroyed. It's something that needs to be. And when something that needs to be doesn't happen, there are consequences.
Yes.
And those consequences were Hela. Those consequences were Hela. Mm-hmm. And yes, there was consequence of Loki putting Odin off-world, which I don't 100% understand why that killed him.
He took his powers away from him. He drained him of his power, so he wasn't able to live for much longer. Is what I was able to gather from the film.
I didn't gather that, but I mean
because he had left him at that nursing home and presumably mind controlled him to thinking he was a regular elderly human without any powers.
Still,
and then he mentions
Asgardians live for a freaking long time.
Yeah,
without their lifespans are thousands of years.
Yeah.
Excuse me, unless otherwise interrupted. And
I think the point is that Loki taking away Odin's powers so as he could claim the throne for himself was the thing interfering with that lifespan. Or also he did just die of old age because they do have a bit of a terminal lifespan.
That's true.
But it might have just been accelerated a little bit because, I don't have my powers to keep me immortal or near eternal.
I have a question.
Yes.
Where was Lady Sif? Do you remember Lady Sif? She was the one who, in Thor 2, loved Thor and didn't like Natalie Portman or Jane because of it.
Yeah, that's right. Because we saw all of the other people in brief cameo. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw. I don't remember seeing her. Maybe that might have been a thing of like the actress wasn't able to come back for the film or something.
Yeah, well, there are the warriors, the 3 warriors that were in Thor 2, and then there's Sif.
Yeah.
We saw 2 of them die.
I thought we saw all three of them.
All 3 of them? It might have been all 3.
Think.
And then Lady Sif
because
wasn't there.
There's the big guy. It was the musician. He wasn't a musician, but I don't know why. That guy definitely gave me like a bard feel for like a medieval D&D campaign. And then the Asian guy. I feel a little racist saying that, but he was like the one Asian guy in all of the North Asgard.
Fandral, Hogan, and Volstagg.
Oh wait, never mind. Heim. What's this? What's the gatekeeper? Who's the gatekeeper? You know, the one that controls the Rainbow Bridge.
Idris Elba. Yeah.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I was like, oh wait, never mind. There is racial diversity in Asgard already. Never mind. I feel dumb now. Stop that.
No, there is. Yeah.
Though not much of it.
Not much.
No. But yeah, that is a very interesting point. She didn't come back. And then we also got Scourge, who I guess might have been a comic character at one point.
He must have. She said something about him being her executioner.
Yeah.
And I felt like that had some sort of comic meaning that just we weren't understanding.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now. Apparently sometimes he's just called the Executioner. Or he's renamed the Executioner or something, but he is a supervillain. Scourge fell in love with the Enchantress. Okay, he kind of got melded into got drawn in for a different character. With a different character, because apparently he works for the Enchantress in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
What he said, but he had a nice redemption arc. He had a bit of a nice redemption. I will honestly say I did not think the what were those guns? The AR-15s or something like that would actually play a significant plot to the film. And yet there they are. He's there doing the right thing and redeeming himself. Which, like, you did know he was going to do at some point. You could just feel throughout the movie. He was like,
this isn't right.
This isn't right, but I got no way of fixing it. And then, like, he was about to flee with the ship. And I'm like, oh, I guess he doesn't get the redemption arc. And it's like, oh, wait, hold on a second. And here comes his redemption moment.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. But we keep avoiding the big thing. That, like, why a lot of people are excited for this movie. The Planet Hulk part.
Yes.
And the whole, Hulk's in the movie. We haven't talked about Hulk yet, and what? We're nearly an hour into this.
Yeah. Hulk was really interesting in that we saw more Hulk than Mark Ruffalo. Maybe. You could probably time the screen time. I don't know who we actually saw more of. It's the... So Age of Ultron cemented the idea that Bruce Banner and the Hulk are 2 different personalities.
Yeah.
And then this one really, Thor 3 really brought up that they're 2 different people.
Yes.
They're 2 different entities that just inhabit the same body. Because how much hatred that Hulk has for Bruce Banner. I thought one of the most powerful scenes in the MCU was Hulk seeing Natasha, or Black Widow, and trying to fight turning back into Bruce Banner and failing.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'd be very interested to see how those 2 hit it off.
When they come back together in Infinity War.
Well, here's the thing: is that Thor is seen flying through space, but Hulk is not. I thought that maybe they were going to kill Hulk off.
I doubt it.
I thought in Thor 3 when he was fighting that giant flame monster, I thought that maybe they were going to kill Hulk.
Yeah.
Maybe, but they didn't. Especially since the Hulk flame monster fight. I was looking forward to it, and it was just Hulk hitting him in the head, Thor telling him to stop, Thor getting hit away, and then them leaving.
Yeah.
That was it. And I was like, that's so disappointing. Maybe it's because I didn't see the first part of it.
Yeah, you probably would appreciate a lot more if you saw the beginning part, because it was a cool, like, multiple, like...
Now I gotta see it.
It was like a final boss in, like, a massive multi-enemy fighter game, and, like, you got the boss, then you got all the minions going around, you gotta hit them all back, and then you gotta beat the boss, and then you gotta run right from the final form of the boss, which was actually just a different dragon pet.
Well, I'll definitely have to rewatch it then. But going to Hulk in the movie, I thought that seeing the Hulk and seeing him being able to live as the Hulk, he was scared in losing that. He was scared in going back to Bruce. And then Bruce was just like, what happened in Sokovia 2 years, 2 years ago, buddy? He doesn't 100% revert back to Bruce Banner. Yeah. He's still green. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I noticed. Like,
he's still green. He's still agitated and nervous, and he hasn't reverted fully back.
Yeah.
From the Hulk.
And he's saying, like, even now, like, Hulk's got more control over the body than Banner does, and it is going to be very curious if we are ever going to see Banner again.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Mark Ruffalo is way too lovable of an actor for that. I've seen him in so many things, and he's a beautiful man. But besides that, he I feel like is way too valuable, and I get that he's going to be special effected into the Hulk as face, but they can't get rid of him.
Yeah,
they're stuck with him.
Yeah. Though I do have a quick question: did Hulk and Banner have graying hair?
The Hulk did not,
because that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing that's throwing me off.
Hulk had gray hair.
Yeah. Let's talk about that briefly. I think we brought it up a little bit. We didn't actually specifically talk about, like, what the time problems are with this particular film. So go ahead and say what's up with the time. What's up with time in here?
The different questions of time come from the fact that when Thor and Loki are thrown out of the light bridge, and Thor, when he's thrown out onto that planet, goes and finds Loki, it's weeks in difference between when Thor fell and when Loki fell.
Yes.
Even though it was just a few seconds difference in the light bridge. So my thought is, time on that planet goes a lot faster. But then when then Thor comes down and talks to the Grandmaster. The Grandmaster said something about the time keeping him young, which doesn't make any sense, because it would be if time was slower, that would keep him young. So my thought is, okay, does he exit out of the universe and then come back? Out of the planet, and it's time thing, and then come back, and then everyone else has aged and he hasn't? And then there's also the question that I think you brought up is, okay, maybe time just doesn't affect those that are there. Maybe aging isn't a thing when you're within that time loop, but yet that time loop moves faster through time. Yeah. It's a lot of confusion, but if time moved faster on that planet, it would make sense, because Hela gets off the light bridge, kills a ton more people, and then starts Ragnarok while Idris Elba is running away. I think that it would make a lot more sense that time on the planet moves a lot faster on that junk planet, the gladiatorial planet. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but now what I was thinking, you bring up the point of, like, the whole the Grandmaster staying young, and then I'm like, wait, my point is now thrown out the window because like Hulk has aged, notably aged with the graying hair, and my thought was like, because of how the time works, has he actually been on that planet for more than 2 years? Because Thor establishes it's been 2 years for him since Sokovia, but there's so many like weird time space portals going on, and that's what I'm thinking. It's just like that planet is just surrounded by so many time space portals that time is just warped, and it affects differently and weirdly, and maybe the Grandmaster's just in the right spot to be like to live forever. But Hulk could have been there for longer than 2 years for however he got into the portal, because
That's
if
right.
it was weeks between Loki and Thor's arrival, it could have been years since Hulk's arrival.
Yeah.
It could have been a decade even.
It probably could have. There's also the question of how Hulk got on that world in the first place.
Yeah, because he was flying a Quinjet, which that's established. But
yes,
how...
it's established, and then Hulk's like, and then I went in the water, and then I got here. So obviously there was some sort of portal between Earth and
that's in its rightful self is a plot hole, because they explain that's the thing, but we don't get the explanation of where that portal came from to bring them there.
Yeah, that's not even a Moffat. That's just a laziness.
Or it's something that's going to be explained later.
No. I highly doubt it. I don't think they're going to take time to explain it. I think that it was a wormhole. Or another thing is a spaceship came to, which I think would be, one of those simple explanations, and then it would be so much, easier. Cough, cough, Transformers, cough. Is they
don't go back into that.
Yeah, could have just said, yes, we found this guy flying around Earth all by himself. Like, they found the Hulk, and he's the Hulk, so they stole him.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense. But the fact that there's just a random ass portal in the middle of frickin' the world.
Yeah. He maybe crashed into the Bermuda Triangle.
They actually say where he crashed.
Oh, they did. I missed that.
It was at the end of Ultron. They say that the Quinjet went down near Fiji, and that Director Fury's, or Nick Fury at this point, theory was that he crashed and then swam to Fiji.
Oh.
So I don't know where Fiji is in terms of how close it is. But either way, I think that it was a plot hole, but wasn't that big of one.
It's part of Oceania.
Which is?
Australia, New Zealand,
yes, but like where?
There. Maybe I'll edit this photo in, because I can't describe where that is. Like, it's east.
Oh, so it's east of
it's Australia.
It's east of Australia and north of New Zealand.
Oh yeah, that is New Zealand. I thought New Zealand was more north than that. I apologize. I misread those islands. But regardless, so my Bermuda Triangle theory is out the window.
Yeah.
But this is a minor point, and unlike the Transformers, it's not a thing that's a consistent thing throughout the film. It's unfortunate that it's not explained, but it's not the end of the world for this film, I guess. Well,
No.
Oh, I made a funny. That was a terrible funny.
I feel like people just so overlooked it in a sense of, you got on the planet.
Yeah.
Some portal.
Yeah, which I mean is something they should have explained, since that's the whole Planet Hulk story.
They're so good about explaining things.
And they didn't explain that.
DC's bad. Transformers terrible.
Yeah, the Transformers movies are terrible. How dare you suggest everything else is terrible? Everything else is decent to okay.
Yeah, no.
Regardless, that is an unfortunate thing. But we are running. We should be wrapping this up soon. But I do want to touch on the one character that was the one character that was part of the main squad at the end of the film that we haven't touched upon in the slightest. The character that is the Valkyrie.
Okay.
Yeah, the girl, Scrapper 128.
Yeah.
Yeah, who apparently, I think, if I read it correctly, in the comics is actually called Valkyrie. That's her actual name, instead of being one of the Valkyries. But she has a lot of different stuff. I just want to bring her up and touch upon her because she's not as important to the story, but like it's always good for that representation. And I just want to talk about her character a bit because I quite enjoy that character of hers.
What are my thoughts on her?
Yeah. Any specific thoughts, or do you want me to go more specific?
I thought it was tied, and I read I was reading an explanation as to why there was that plot hole, and it makes so much sense.
Oh, okay.
We'll
come back on that in a moment.
Yeah, I feel like it was Jane dumped Thor, and now he needs a new love interest, but she's. I feel like she was she was like Jessica Jones, almost, in so much of her attitude, and not just the drinking, but just in the way they portrayed a female within the Marvel Cinematic Universe is something that we have not seen since Jessica Jones. In the brutally honest, this is how I am. Without any stereotypes or over sexualization or anything like that. I felt that that's who this was, and it was the first for the Thor universe, and it was someone the Thor to connect with, and someone who can go into Infinity War. I feel that she has continued value being an Asgardian.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting thing because I was reading up on her and they did the creators did mention like, yeah, for good love interest for Thor that's like on equal par with her, and I'm like, wait, really? Oh, and then I'm like, oh wait, there's that one moment where they jump on the ship together. They're kind of looking at each other a little too long. That's the only like love kind of connection I got between the two of them.
Well, rather it's a potential of a love interest for Thor.
Fair. Because it's not like with like Star-Lord and Gamora, and they're like they're pushing for it, but they're not there yet. It's just like, oh, here's the thing, let's see what happens, let's see if it actually blossoms into anything. But yeah, you are very much right. I did like her portrayal, especially for a portrayal of a woman in the MCU, because it's a portrayal we don't get. It's very nice to have that different portrayal. And I just remember that's some extra diversity that the Asgardians get because of her, well, at least her actor's ethnicity. They're all just part of it. They're all just Asgardians, and it's like, oh, they're Asgard. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to make sure she was mentioned because she was important in the film, and it's important to get mentions of her. But what were you saying about you reading up a thing about the plot hole?
Oh, so
the wormhole plot.
Planet Hulk was a rumor, and that he was going to go off-world, and that's where he was going, was Planet Hulk. And even before Age of Ultron, that was theorized, was that at the end of Age of Ultron, Hulk was going to be blasted into space, or he was going to be blasted elsewhere, or given a home elsewhere, because he was too dangerous. And then when the trailer came out, it was speculation even more wild because he goes crazy. Apparently, at the end of Age of Ultron, he's supposed to go off to Earth on Earth somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the idea, that he's somewhere on Earth.
That's what it looked like at the film, yeah.
And because they talked and they, as in some Marvel directors or writers, went out and said, okay, he's not going into space. Then Thor started being written, and they said, crap, we need something here. And they looked at the Planet Hulk and storyline, and looked at Thor Ragnarok and realized it could commingle very well. And then the same people who said they're not going into space, they said, guess what? Hulk's going to space. So they unfortunately, originally, apparently, they were going to say that the last time that they lost contact with him when he flew past Saturn, is what they were going to do, or something along those lines. And then they scrapped that because they said, no, Hulk is not going to space. We're not going to do that. But then they found a more reasonable and logical way. Reasonable and logical, I'm saying in quotation marks with my fingers, way for Hulk to go to space. And that was, theoretically, we don't know exactly how. In theory, there were wormholes all over the place. Hulk could have found one. Bruce Banner could have possibly found one. And gone into although that doesn't make any sense for after Sokovia for him to be that confused. I mean, although it could have been 2 years. I mean, that's a lot of wild speculation. What we know,
we do see the footage of the Quinjet crashing, and just there is that brief moment. So we do see like something's happening to the ship. So Hulk's still on the ship. Something happens to the ship, and then they end up on the plane.
We don't see footage of it crashing. What we see,
footage of the ship. Of what we presume is the ship crashing through the wormhole, through whatever happens to get it to the planet. That's what we see. When Hulk comes onto the Quinjet, and then Hulk comes on the Quinjet after Thor's like, don't come here, and then he's hitting things, and then the footage plays of like Hulk like holding on for dear life, and that's what we assume is footage crashing, and then he also accidentally hits the button of Black Widow talking to him, and then he retorted, No, I apologize. That was Banner. It was Hulk activated the Black Widow stuff. Banner was like, Hulk was like, no. He turns to Banner, and Banner's playing a thing. And because I saw like Banner's face looking at the screen, and then Hulk's face becoming superimposed on it. Yeah. So like we saw the footage of the crash, but we don't know what happened with the crash.
Well, the reason why I was questioning that is because they don't show what exactly happened in Age of Ultron. They say it could have been the Quinjet, we don't know. Yeah. So it could have not been the Quinjet, or it could have been the Quinjet that went into one of those wormhole things. Yeah. Alrighty, you can finish this up. I gotta go do things.
Okay. Do you have any... Well, yeah, we're actually pretty much done, so if you want to stay for like a couple of more minutes just to wrap this up.
Sure.
So, do you have any other comments about the whole portal thing?
Well, I feel, not any comments of the portal thing, but in general, I feel that their decision, Marvel's decision to bring Hulk in on this movie, is what made it great. I feel like this, there's rumors and also official confirmation that this will be the last series of superhero team-up movies, and if that's the case, Marvel, you're going to die. You're going to wither up and die because you're going to give DC the opportunity to learn the lessons of that it keeps screwing up, other than with Wonder Woman. And you're going to fail. And I feel like this is an indicator to Marvel that they need to wake up and realize that just having the solo movies isn't good enough. Just like having solo comic books is not good enough. You have to have multiple people within it. Yes, having solo comic books is fine. Just like having the solo movie is fine. But if you just had the solo comics and had no other movies that really brought it together and made it a universal plot, it's boring. It's repetitive. It's annoying. And it's something that people aren't going to keep wanting to watch. So Thor Ragnarok needs to keep happening in the sense that there are multiple characters in it. Whether that's in a small cameo setting like Doctor Strange, or that's in a complete plot changer like Hulk. There cannot just be one universe, all this plot happening in one little character's universe. It has to be the MCU. It has to be involved. It has to be Avengers 4 can't be the last time that Iron Man and Gamora fight next to each other. It can't be the last time that Doctor Strange and Captain America appear on film, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
This needs to keep happening. And I feel like this was a great window into what can happen, because this is really the first team up, other than Captain America 2, what can happen. That's not an Avengers film or Civil War, because Civil War is an exception.
Yeah.
Civil War is an Avengers movie that just has Captain America.
I mean, also, Spider-Man Homecoming had Iron Man as a big part of it.
Yes, sorry, you're right.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
And that's kind of stuff is like making me think, what are you talking about? You're crazy for thinking they're not going to do this. But then now I'm thinking about, well, Captain Marvel's a prequel, so there can't be anyone there except maybe some kind of a brief cameo. Ant-Man and the Wasp, don't know what's happening there, but it seems like it's going to be just Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I don't think so anymore.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a lot more complicated than that. We'll have to see. But yeah. I think
it really depends upon what the Ant-Man and the Wasp plot is supposed to be, because we have no clue. As far as I know, we have no clue. There's probably been comments and mentions and whatnot, and more dedicated fans may know or probably know something more about the film than I do, besides Ant-Man and the Wasp are going to be in it. But the question is if other people are going to be in it. And that's a question. And then I was also going to think Black Panther's kind of separate from all of the other stuff because it's all in Wakanda. No one's going to Wakanda.
Well, because that's its first movie.
Yeah.
You have to have the Thor and the Iron Man and the Captain America. You have to have the intro for it.
But isn't also Captain America hiding out in Wakanda at this current time?
See, we don't know what's going on with that. That's going to answer a lot of questions. Is Bucky still frozen? How long is he frozen for? Is Cap in Wakanda? I don't think he is, because I think that it would, because this happens after the events of Civil War, where this as Black Panther. So I feel like Cap has left Wakanda and left Bucky behind, and then he's gone off and grown a beard and done his own thing.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, we haven't heard anything about who's the actor? Chris somebody. It's a Chris, if I recall correctly.
Chris Evans?
Yes. If Chris Evans... I don't think it was confirmed Chris Evans is in the movie, because I remember hearing about a list, and that the main thing I remember hearing about it was the only white people in it were villains, if I recall that correctly.
Yeah, I saw some online racist rage about that. I'm like, seriously? Like, think of all the movies where only the minority people were villains.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah. But before you go, any last final wrap-up thoughts of Thor Ragnarok? Any final ratings on Thor Ragnarok?
It was a great bridge between Civil War and Infinity War. I feel like it could have been a little bit stronger at the end. There could have been something that brought Thanos out, but in terms of development for Hulk, it was great character development. It was fantastic character development for Thor, and it also allows for, because Asgard is now on its own, it's in that ship if it's still in one piece, and that can bring a lot to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that Asgard is mobile, and it's going places, and hopefully going to Norway or wherever on Earth. It set up it solved a lot of issues of the past. It gave us a lot in its present, and it also gives a lot of possibilities for its future. So all around a great film.
Yes, I very much have to agree. Definitely a great film. Definitely did a lot of very good things in terms of its own story and the story contributing to the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. And like I mentioned at the very beginning, though, I'm not entirely certain how it got as great of opinion as it did, because I don't think it's the best Marvel film, but it's certainly up there at the top. Though granted, however, I do say that for a lot of the Marvel films, so I don't actually know where it actually falls on my official ranking. But it is a very good movie. If you haven't had the chance to see it, I say go make sure you go see it. If you haven't seen it, I am sorry that you listened to this and heard all of these spoilers and all of this talk. Though, in fairness, I do feel like half this episode probably was more so talking about stuff connecting this to the MCU as opposed to just Thor Ragnarok itself. But yeah, definitely a very good movie. Trying to think of my rating. I'd say I'd give it a 2 thumbs up. I'd definitely give it 2 thumbs up. Can't give it 2 eyes up because Thor is down an eye, but I'm sorry for that bad joke. But anyway, that's all we have to say. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Also, please consider donating on my Patreon page to help support the channel. All the links will be in the description below. Thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack and Potter signing off.